바로 sit-down.
몇 시야 지금?
7시 찍었는데 시간이
시간이 없구만.
예, 잠깐
9시까지는
아까
끝나겠습니다.
어?
아니야. 1시간 이내에 잠깐.
아하. 내 보고를 좀 받을 텐데. 보고 좀 하지 보고. 누구 보고 좀 하라고. 저 목사들 만나는 보고.
Tom, this is reported to father about ministry.
전체적으로 얘기해.
Father, I'd like to share a few reports about the region, Washington region. First of all, I want to say that from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry that we couldn't do more, but I feel I've been in the Unification Church 12 and a half years, and I'm so amazed at the potential that we stand on right now. And I really feel so much that everything that's happening, really everything that's happening in the field with the ministers, even with the most simple member, not only the city leader or regional leader or state leader, but even the most simple member is really a direct result of what you're doing and the effort in Danbury. And so, Father, I'm so grateful because our work is now so easy, and it's just like picking up gold off the ground. I want to share some simple stories. First of all, in Annapolis, Maryland, Pauline Verheyen is there, and she was living in the mobile home for 8 months. You remember Pauline? She's older, and because she was living in the mobile home, she attracted a lot of attention and gained a lot of support in the city of Annapolis. So much so that now, in Annapolis there's a Naval Academy, the #1 naval school in America, and she made the personal relationships with the chaplains or the ministers on the campus. There are 3. In addition, one of her members, his name is Paul, a simple member, graduate of MFT, a Jewish brother. And he went to the big Episcopal church. Until now, we didn't have much of a connection with Episcopal. It's a little difficult. But he went in the church and prayed that your spirit and Jesus and Hung Chinim would be there. No one was there. He came back on Sunday, and the minister had changed his heart. Before that, the minister was negative. There's about 1,200 members, a rich white church. Then the minister invited him downstairs after the service to a meeting. The meeting was about 50 members. They were the elders of the church. And the meeting was about abortion. So this minister is very liberal. And so then the members are conservative, and they're fighting with the minister. Then the minister, in front of all the members, asked this brother Paul, who's a simple member, to stand up. And he said to Paul, even he didn't introduce Paul to the people yet, he said, what does the Unification Church teach about abortion? So then Paul stood up and spoke just 5 minutes about the principle of creation, very simple. But he won about a half dozen friends from the congregation. And then the minister wants him to come back anytime. The result was the minister began to view the Kausa tapes, and they have a relationship. Now this is one simple experience, and I could share maybe 15 or 20 like that, but the key point is the main line denomination is opening up, and especially Pauline is doing very, very good work. In Washington, D.C., one minister that especially Mike Marshall worked with very hard is Dr. Terry Wingate. He's Black Baptist, the president of SCLC in Washington. And at the time, just before you went into prison, he was one of the American Baptist ministers who agreed to let our father work in his church if the government would let you do the community service. He's been to Kausa in Washington, very impressed with Dr. Pak. And at one point, he had the problem with his choir director, his music director. He came to the ICC conference and he heard about Cain and Abel. He invited Mike Marshall to speak in his congregation to to the Music Man. And then because of the lecture he gave about the principle of restoration, then his church changed, and the minister and his music director could unite. And since that time, he's asked Chris Dyke to teach the Kausa material. He'll come to San Francisco and also to Korea. Very powerful minister in Washington. One of many that we could report about. Especially recently, Reverend Lee and myself have been traveling a lot in the region, and I'm very grateful to work with Reverend Lee. He's certainly adding a tremendous amount of energy to our region, and we're meeting all the best ministers. I have many, many stories to share, but I want to just pick out perhaps the most important ones. The other day in Durham, North Carolina, a black minister and his wife were both ministers of a Pentecostal church, and this day they received the videotapes in the mail. And the woman was very excited, but she had no videotape recorder. So she went to the Kmart, and she went to the TV desk of the Kmart. Oh, thank you. I'm just getting warmed up. Come on. Can I have an amen? Thank you. Whoa. Father really is so much. I'm sure every member can share like this, but I'm lucky to do this. What should I do with this thing? So this couple went to the Kmart, and the woman asked, "Let me see the machine." She never played around with a videotape. They brought the machine. She put the Divine Principle tape in the Kmart. And the minister watched. She watched for 30 minutes the introduction and principle of creation in the Kmart. And he was so excited, and she said, "I want to buy the machine." It was $500, but she couldn't afford the machine. So she was so depressed. So then she looked in the pamphlet and called the headquarters office. "I don't have a machine, but I want to watch the tape." So then the headquarters on Reverend Park gave the information to go to the center. So then the headquarters called the center. Some person called. 1 hour later, they arrived at the doorstep. And they knocked on the door and they asked, "We want to see the tapes." So then our members gave them the video. They watched the tapes. And they united with us. Now the key point is that this minister's bishop, the bishop has a huge church across the street from the center, and the members weren't able to connect so much with the bishop until now, where the pastor and his evangelist wife are helping. One experience, there's thousands of them, but just one. Dr. Paul Crowley of St. Paul Baptist Church in Baltimore. A lot of work has been done there by Viggo Jorgensen, the previous leader of Norway. Dr. Crowley is a PhD. He's a very big church. Before he's the president of the Hampton Institute. It's about something like 8,000 Baptist ministers who gather for a 7-day workshop every year. He was the president. Now he's the president of the Kausa organization, and he's giving the lecture with the slides that Dr. Park prepared. It also now last 2 weeks ago, he gave a Sunday sermon, and the title was the 3 blessings. Then his conclusion, we have to become, this is a baptism, we have to become perfect while we're on earth for the ideal family. He has a lot of influence in the people there. Reverend Roger Fry, this is one of the contacts of Pauline. He's a white minister, Church of Christ, master's degree. He's been to ICC, listened to Divine Principle and Kausa tape. Now he's educating his deacons in Divine Principle. One deacon came to our center every day last week and saw the Divine Principle tapes and is educated. He's going to Korea. There's many other experiences there. Also, guiding by Reverend Lee's direction, we are also showing the ministers a lot of the Kausa tapes. One white Presbyterian in Wilmington, North Carolina, Dr. Cozy, is a PhD. He did his thesis on Marxism. World War II, he was a fighter pilot. He has a big Presbyterian congregation. He saw the tapes. He didn't come to the conference, just the tapes. And now he's teaching over 4 weeks the Kausa material to the Bible class. He's also the principal of a high school, his high school, Christian high school. And he's planning to teach through the summer. Southern Baptist Church in North Carolina, Ken Beecher is in the theology, getting his PhD in the seminary. He looked at the Kausa tapes and now is organizing a minister's Kausa study group in the seminary. Southern Baptist. Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist.
Yeah. Then also Reverend Robert Morris, United Methodist minister in Norfolk. He's a white minister. He's a state-level chaplain for the National Guard. Then he wants John O'Connor is working very hard in Virginia. He wants John O'Connor, our state leader, to teach the Kausa workshop to the chaplains of the National Guard in the state of Virginia. That's some much more things, but the biggest report is so exciting. With the help of Reverend Kwok, we have one minister who's the PhD, and he's the executive director of a divinity school, so-called Shaw Divinity School.
Shaw,
Shaw.
King of Iran.
It used to be.
SHAW.
Now, the Shaw University began after the Civil War. It was a black university, historical in this region. Of course, in my region was some of the origin of slavery. So the black-white experience in North Carolina is very touchy. This school is really like the symbol of the black education for the black church. And Father, as you probably have heard until now, there are so many black ministers who deeply love you. They unite with you. They really will
Not
follow
so
you.
bad.
But especially they feel, and I'm sure everyone can testify to this as we share with them how they experience suffering like you experience the suffering. And sometimes the white ministers are more arrogant and more cool. Oftentimes, most of the time. At any rate, Shaw Divinity School was founded in 1933. Recently it's separated, so they're fighting like Berrytown for accreditation. But many ministers in Virginia, South, and North Carolina have passed through this school. The executive director contacted us and offered to sponsor a conference. Myself and Reverend Lee worked together. 50 ministers came. Based on that, he became very excited. And recently I took him out for dinner. We made many proposals, such as teaching his students how to fundraise and many things. He came then and met with Reverend Kwok. Now his mission is how to make accreditation. So they need some help. But then I went to meet him the other day, and he had already prepared. This is the school newspaper, the Seminarian. It comes out quarterly. They have 150 students. Most of the students already are pastors because they're poor and they have to work outside jobs. So they go to school at night and on the weekend. And he prepared 10 proposals how the unification movement and his divinity school can work together. For example, he's the director of the rural church, or the countryside church committee. 1,300 Baptist churches in North Carolina. 1,300. He's the leader. And I discussed your idea about our members going and doing revivals in the churches. Then right away he decided, he wrote the proposal, co-sponsor Rural Church Conference on church activities. And he wants to use the mobile homes with us and travel to his 10 districts, holding the Causa Conference and the ICC Conference. He also wants to do the Summer Rural Outreach Program to do revivals in his churches. He wants to sponsor the conference on the unification principle in the seminary and give the credit for divine principle. Then we got excited and we said, we want to ask Reverend Kwok to please let us use a bus to bring all of his students to the Common Suffering Fellowship. Then he agreed to that one. He wants to hold another conference on race and religion, how to unify the black and the white. And then I said, well, to do that we have to have some yellow. So then he agreed, we'll bring Reverend Lee and possibly Reverend Kwok. The black, white, and yellow we'll discuss. He heard that our members do pioneering and they can go anywhere and make money out of nothing. And he was so amazed because he's suffering because his members are poor. The black people are somewhat poor. So then he asked Jack Harford, gave him a 1-hour testimony about his fundraising. He was MFT captain for 2 years. And this minister almost is crying because he realized hope that we can train his people to make money to pay the tuition. It's incredible. And then other conferences, he wants to teach the Causa material this summer for the course education. And finally, he needs, in order to get accredited, he needs the library books. So we talked to Reverend Kwok about that, and this is somewhat, we need some help financially, but he and myself and Reverend Lee determined that even in our region, when we're visiting the churches, we'll ask the ministers for books and then donate the books to his university. This will have an incredible impact in the black community in this region. There are more, but it's too much to go into. One final report is from Greensboro. This minister, his name is Reverend Andrews, I don't know if you can see his face there, the PhD, and he has about 1,000 people in his church. He's attended Causa. He's so inspired by what Causa is that he's willing to take his directory of seminary graduates. He went to Virginia Union Theological Seminary 30 years ago. He has a big, thick, maybe 1-inch thick manual of graduates. He wants to mail all of them an invitation to Causa and call his best friends. This kind of thing I'm sure is happening all over the country, Father. I'm sure every leader can testify. But please understand how much potential is there. I know you understand, I shouldn't say that. But how much excitement we have. In the book of Revelation,
That's true.
in the book of Revelation, it talks about the bridegroom and the bride. And Jesus Christ is coming back again and is here. That's Father. And Father is the bridegroom, and the church is the bride. That's true, even though Father and Mother are bridegroom and bride. And I felt myself, after 12 years of trying to help and lead our members and do my best, that it's not until the ministers and our members unite, like a bridegroom and bride, even they have their 3-day ceremony together, spiritually, meaning they unite, then something changes completely.
Why don't you report about the Red Bull 1/3 real year?
I'm sorry. One Japanese brother in Greensboro speaks 20% English. And he's visiting the 120 ministers.
That's good, 20%.
Yeah. So he went to the other day, he went to the
That's
president.
famous. How much do you know? How many percent do you know?
Korean?
You. Huh? How many percent do you know? English. Huh?
Korean.
No. Yeah, English. American members.
100%.
100%.
80%.
So Father, his Japanese brother went out to visit his church one day, and he didn't get the appointment, so he just went and knocked on the door. It's a white Presbyterian church, about 300 people, Greensboro, North Carolina. The minister, until that day, was a little negative to our movement. That day he received the tapes. He didn't have the tape recorder, so he couldn't look at them, but he pulled out your book, God's Warning to America, to the World. He read 1/3 of the book only, just about 25 pages or so. He changed his mind so much that when the Japanese brother came, he welcomed the brother, and they spent an hour and a half discussing, of course, 20% English, but the minister helped, you know. Anyway, the key point is that they made the relationship. They made the relationship. And from this, it's like a seed that will grow into a beautiful relationship. And Father, I just am so grateful on behalf of our members and the ministers. When I say this, I come to you not just as our regional coordinator, but behind me are all the ministers. They're so grateful that you do what you do. And we have hope. We will absolutely win victory. And we're sorry that you have to go through this, but when you come out, there really will be the revolution waiting. And you are the leader. And so with that, I deeply thank you for this chance to share.
Yeah, in this time we took book strategies. It's good. Good. Yeah. Book is not die. Do you follow me? Man die, but book is not die. Good book. Good book going around everywhere. And so that you now almost 300,000 book video set. Now spread out all over the country, anywhere. If you found a big church, you would be there. Do you have some kind of strange book? What is strange book? Reverend Moon's book. Did you see the strange cassette tape? The videotape? What is strange videotape? Reverend Moon's doctrine. Ask them. Clergymen. I know that. You think about after all church leader, after that kind of situation, reach that situation, you think about it. They are called every night. Some old clergymen, they are many church removed one by one. Some guy 10 more, 20. I think average, every minister average 4. Think about that. So one clergyman, pastor church, every time they check. Who in this time? What kind of clergymen move in this church? So they connect every the senior clergymen. Think about it. Those during those minister, one man understood the divine principle. For all clergymen follow them. Do you know? So that we are 3,100 books spread out. 4 times, think about 100, 1,200,000 book. Church. Hang on. You think about that is a fearful strategy. 그 얘기야. 선생은 고생하고 너들은 이제 잘 읽어보겠구나.
So actually, you let your teacher, your father, suffer. Meantime, you enjoyed the game. You enjoyed the fruit.
더욱이나 이 덴버리에 들어가 있는 레브런문에서 저 번역되는 사실은 충격을 받는 거야.
I think those gifts are very, very shocking to the ministers, especially because those gifts are coming from Danbury prison. The message coming from the prison. It's just shocking, most dramatic.
유니피케이션 헤드쿼터에서 레브런문 이름 가지고 보는 건 그것과 비교하면 차원 같잖아요.
So think of it. 43rd Street, Unification Church headquarters in New York, sent out the books to the ministers. So what? Ministers will receive it and put it on the, bookshelves, and the dust will be collected. However, this message, this book is coming from the prison. It's a really entirely different kind of impact.
그리고 또 이 문의들이 말이야, 문의의 지도자가 레브런문인데 선생님이 감옥에 들어갔는데 다 쭈그러져 가지고 저 세상 전부 다 포기해버리고 낭망하는 것이 아니고 목사들을 잡고 갔다고 달래들고 굴하지 않고 매일같이 전진하고 있다는 사실을 볼 때 충격을 받는 거야.
Also, these people saw, and will see more, that the Moonies, Unification Church members, they know their leaders are in prison, is in incarceration. However, those members are going after ministers, trying to, in a way, turn around the ministers, convert the ministers. And that is incredible spiritual, boldness.
사알 목사는 다 지능이 있기 때문에 자기가 옛날의 믿음과 그 젊은 시절과 지금까지 기성교의 젊은이들과 자기 건지고 있는 시기가 전부 대접해야 문의 한 사람만 하나씩 찾지 못하게 될 때는 그건 문제 크다는 거예요.
They compare our young people with their own youth age, and also their contemporary young people in their church, in their community. They see that the heaven and earth differences.
자, 그리고 그것도 그렇지만 이 책이라는 것이 오늘 공산당이 오늘 전 세계에 이런 탄도를 가진 것은 60년, 한 70년 이런 이내 가졌다는 책 가지고 막스의 자본론 그한 가지고 하는 거예요.
So, book is incredible power. Why the communists is so powerful today? The one book they wrote called Das Kapital, Das Kapital. That one book, really, that ignited so many millions of people around the world last 67 years.
그리고 내가 지금까지 미국에서 한 목적이 기독교를 구하기 온 거예요. 기독교 목사들을 어떻게 쥐어가지고 미국이 하나님이 원하는 방향을 잡아가지고 가면서 이 세계 기독교를 연합해가지고 세계 국가를 하나님의 뜻 가운데로 끌고 갈 수 있게 하기 위한 것이 하나님의 뜻이기 때문에 그러려면 미국 교회 목사들이 하나님의 뜻의 방향을 어떻게 잡아주냐는 것이 미국의 목적이다.
The primary mission for Father to come to the United States is to save Christian churches, so that Christian churches will be serving God's purpose. And so therefore, now the time has come that Christian churches are ignited. They're opening their door. They're embracing what Father. They're welcoming Father's message. Well, this is the very mission for which Father came to this country.
이 40년 광야 40년 노정을 지내고 나서는 이제는 이스라엘 민족이 대이동과 더불어 새로운 지역의 대이동과 더불어 정착을 해야 될 때가 온다는 거야. 정착.
So after 40 years of wilderness, as much as Israelites from Egypt, after 40 years wilderness, they enter into land of Canaan and settle. By the same token, we, after passing through the 40 years of the wilderness of the 20th century, we are going to move. Great movement, move.
어디로 갈 것이냐?
Then
이
we'll settle.
문은 어디 가서 정착할 것이냐?
Now where Moonies are going?
그것은 하나님이 바라본다는 미국에 정착해서 새로운 미국을 만드는 새로운 미국을 이상적 미국을 만드는 것을 하나님이 원한다는 걸 알기 때문에 선생님이 된 거예요.
God, Father knows God wanted to have these. Ultimately, we moved to the United States and settle and create a new America, and that is God's will. That's why Father came to America.
자, 그것을 하기 위해서 그런 뉴 아메리카를 만들기 위해서는 공산주의에 승리해야 되겠고 가정 파탄 청소년 윤리를 방어해야 되고 기독교의 새로운 재붕을 하자니 만든다는 그런 논리에 입각한 거라고.
So,
미국을 이루지 않고는 살 길이 없다 보는 거예요.
in order to bring the revival to the Christian churches of America, Father has to go through the several stages of revolutionary tasks. First, we must be victorious over communism. We must revive the moral degradation. We must, put the new energy and awakening to the Christian churches.
자, 그러면 새로운 미국이
Then, New America
여기에
will
정착할
come
수
into
있는
being.
거예요. 그렇게 그런다면 미국 전체 국민이 반대하지 않고 환영하는 가운데서 그 일이 진행할 수 있다고 보는 것이 하나님의 생각이요 선생님이 여기온 목적이었다.
If we do that, then American people will welcome, and without being rejecting Father, ultimately they have to embrace that Father. They will accept Father. They will accept Father teaching and become a new America. And then what happened? That the God will be done, and Father's visit to the United States will be
그런
fulfilled.
말이야. 미국과의 아시아가 미국과의 선생님과 미국 백인과의 레브런문과의 관계가 어떠냐? 레브런문은 한대 지방에서 생긴 소나무 같고 미국 국민은 열대 지방에서 생긴 소나무 같다. 그야.
Compare the two between Father and the American culture, the United States of America today. When you compare, it can be compared into two pine trees, two different pine trees. One pine tree that is grown in very cold weather zone. The other, that's the Korean, that is Father type pine tree. The other pine tree is like American pine tree that is grown in tropic weather zone.
이것이 어떻게 해야 되냐? 가만 보니까 이 남쪽에서 생겨난 이 모든 씨는 씨가 변하지 않다. 이거 씨를 받아서 안 되겠다.
So the pine tree that grown in hot weather did not bring out too well the seed. Seed is not sound enough. It's not hard enough. It's not good enough.
그 미국 씨를 받아서 안 되겠다.
So in other words, the American seed will not gonna be bringing down the good result.
이거 우리 섹스니 무슨 레스피아니 헐머섹스 개인 부분들이 얼마
There are all kinds of odd and weird and perverted kind of culture is blossoming in America. Hippies and moral degradations and all kind of homosexualities. All these social ill is now rampant.
자, 그래서 이거 뭐 해야 돼? 저 부티를 뭐가지 잘라서 저걸 붙여.
So then, what can we do? We just chop the neck and bring the new branches and going through the grafting process.
자, 사람들 볼 때, 오, 그 같은 소나무인데 그거 왜 잘라 이러고 자식아 야가냐.
And people will say,
why
did you cut the pine tree? It's a good pine tree.
갑자기 보기.
And it looks same. The two chop that pine trees?
그래서 문이 나는 거야.
But the moon is no.
그래야 열매가 열매.
No, the different pine trees. The one is hard, sound, very solid fruit will be bearing.
선생님은 그렇게 생각하고 출발했다고.
That's the way Father has begun, his movement.
너희들은 그저 전부 다 굴에서 밥만 하고 춤추고 좋아하고 뭐 저 자기 먹던 술을 먹으려고 하고 그렇게 살라고 해서 안 된다.
You want to do your way and like a grasshopper, just enjoy the day, enjoy the fun and fun time and fun day, the fun life, and that's no more. That's no longer will bring the great fruit.
그래, 저부터서
So, are you? Have you been a new pine tree? What grafted into the new branches? What kind of pine trees are you? Same old pine tree or grafted pine tree?
나이만 가만 가서 고맙게 생각하는 것은 이게 미국 문화를 그보다 내가 전부 다 이게 뭐 뒤주방들 했던 내가 미국 문화 이거 무슨 뭐 치즈니 무슨 뭐 햄버거니 이걸 진탕하게 벼락하게 먹는구나.
So,
그다음에 그 한국 밥을 안만 먹고 싶어도 안 먹고 이제는 다 잊어버리고 먹고 살 수 있다 이렇게 됐다.
So one
한
thing
7개월
Father was very
내가
grateful.
어렸을 때 너도 잡아다가 한 7개월 동안에 저 함바그 뭐 맥도날드 안 먹고 살 수 있다. 고추장 된장 뭐 살다. 맨들에다가 따서 그런 철학을 하면
So there was, life in the Danbury prison has a very many fringe benefits. One of the fringe benefits, Father was thinking, very grateful in a way, grateful indemnity. Since Father's in prison and without freedom, and the Father has to go through their American living style. Morning, noon, and evenings, 3 meals a day, totally American style. No kimchi, and no gochujang, and always cheese and butter, and no rice, just bread and meat and so forth. So Father normally doesn't like that kind of food. Now Father is totally indemnified now with these food and completely accustomed to it. Father now lived with, without kimchi for years and months, no problem. So now Father's thinking, now you do the same. Now you are going to Korea for 7 months and 8 months, and without hamburger, without cheese, without the coffee, without this and that, and a gochujang and a kimchi. I think you can go through that indemnity on the other way around.
그 코리아가 아니야 인 아메리카.
여기서요? 네. But even without going to Korea, right here. Father changed the pattern of life that way, so you can change the pattern of your life the other way.
아, 너 선생님 사랑하고 선생님 좋아해?
So you really love Father?
Yes. 그러면 이제 한 집에 살게 되면 너도 햄버거 먹고 난 고추장 먹게 되면 싸만 애들 가나.
So then we live in the same family and in one home. That Father is going after always the kimchi and gochujang. You go after hamburger and the cheese.
그 식당 둘이 되게?
No, that wouldn't be the case.
We need only one kitchen.
We have only one kitchen. That will be Korean kitchen.
clear.
That'll be Korean kitchen, clear.
그 이번 나온 틀림없이 불러쓰기 같아. 그래서 같아. 그 좋은 소식이야, 나쁜 소식이야.
So when Father come out of the prison, Father will go, will definitely create that kind of workshop. And that you're gonna live under one kitchen, not American kitchen.
자, 그러면 앞으로 나 이제 지금 저 후락 통해서 동양식 밥 중심 삼고 30 변 떨어서 살 수 있는 이런 준비를 해라 연구하고 있다고. 그 변떡밥만 하나 놔주면 돼. 우리 키친 뭐 앞으로는 키친이 필요 없다고.
So Father already instructed Mr. Fruta to investigate the simplest way to feed Oriental food. In Japanese they have what they call bento. You don't have to even come to the dining room.
벤토 해야지 벤토. 이거는 자판에서 벤토
Japanese bento look like a little bento. The bento. So bento means actually lunchbox. So far, the kitchen all create a lunchboxes and give it out. Okay, breakfast lunchbox. Breakfast box, lunchbox, dinner box.
자, 그래서 내가 담배리 가서 말이야. 한 번은 조금만 먹게 하자 먹어봤다고. 조금만 잘 조금 먹자 하고.
So Father experimented in Danbury the many things. Among them is one small portion diet discipline. Father would like to eat very little and survive on little food.
근데 동양 사람 혼자 있는데 말이야. 동양 사람은 저렇게 이 밥을 그렇게 먹는 거. 내가 그 인생 주고 싶지 않았다고. 그래서 많이 먹자. 이제 제일 많이 먹자. 얼마나 3분의 1을 갖다 버리나 하더라도 많이 받아가야 돼. 그러더라고요.
So then Father thought, I'm the only Oriental in the entire prison, that prison camp, Danbury. So when Father goes there and I receive only small portions of meal, then everybody else thinks, all the Occidental, all the inmates will think that, that's the Oriental way. They only eat very little portions.
자, 그러면 말이야.
Father didn't like that kind of impression. So Father decided.
밥 많이 먹는 서양 사람한테 뭐 백발백중 질 것이다 이런 생각이 싫다는 거야.
So they eat so little, they are therefore so small. Their muscle is flabby, and they are not strong. Father didn't want to give that kind of impression. So Father decided, on the contrary, gonna eat lot. So So Father going through the cafeteria line, okay, more. Second. Even though Father may not consume all, but still take more.
그래 버릴 적마다 그것이 남아지는 걸 버릴 적마다 좋아서 버리느냐 뻗으느냐 그런 걸 테스트해 봤다.
So it's a leftover. Definitely there will be leftover. That has to throw it away into the trash can. Each time Father thought, how do I feel? Good or bad?
우리 선교사들인가 하면 저 널리 있는 외국 식구들은 굶고 있는데.
But at that time, Father thought, my missionaries, those my missions in far out land, in the different places, they must be very hungry.
그래서 그걸 버리면서 요 나머지 것은 저 세계에 우리 불쌍한 통일교 못 먹는 사람 나눠주게끔 날라다 주소. 그러고 이제 버린다고.
So Father is thinking, giving away those half portion leftover portion to the trash can. But Father is thinking, God, please, my Heavenly Father, please send this much portion to my people, those who are hungry.
그러고 있다고. 예?
So, in a way, like
그래.
offering.
밥 먹다가 이 서양어를 보니까 몸이 아주 상당히 이게 그렇다고요. 6개월만 되면 그 천지가 되리만 그전부터 사람 먹는 그렇게 됐다고. 그래서 이제 서양식을 먹으니까 허리도 가늘어지고 그럴 때.
So 6 months, normally 6 month diet, you can totally change your fibers, your cell function. So your whole body system will change within 6 months. Diet, 6 month diet. So Father's been in a prison 6 month diet in only Western food. So Father feel good and getting lighter, and Father's little weight to become less now, much lighter and
7개월 동안에 7개월 동안의 식사 중에 식사 안 한 것은 한 번밖에 없다.
7 months, time. The only one time Father missed a meal.
그건 왜 그러냐면 책을 보다 잊어버렸다.
So that one meal, how come that Father missed that meal? Because Father was reading so intensively and but lost the passage of time.
시간 넘어서.
So then
그다음에
time
시간마다 밥 먹으려 오는 사람은 레브론 문제가
So
시간마다 나타나.
So other than that, every meal time, Reverend will always show up. Always show up.
나하고 같이 있는 레리는 말이야. 지금 내가 같이 있으면서 내가 얘기를 안 해서 말이야. 언제나 안 가고 아침에 안 먹는 거야. 안 가는 거야. 자는 거라고.
So Larry, Father is, actually who is supporting Father now in the place of Mr. Kamiyama. He is using the same cubic now with Father, sharing the same cubic. And he doesn't go to meal. For example, in the morning, where he's lazy. He just don't want to get up. He'd rather want to sleep more.
그래가지고는
So he just give up his breakfast.
사단 먹어서 빵짜박지 해서 사놓고는 그걸 먹고 언제나 먹는다고 그냥. 나는 그렇잖아. 먹을 때만 딱 먹는 거야.
Then
그다음에 누가 먹을 거 줘도 그다지도 안 먹는다.
So he always then get up and nibble, snack, all the time snacks. He never go to regular meal, but all the time feeding himself with snacks. But Father, on the contrary, Father never have a snacks, not one bit. Even the people bring some food and a biscuit and the chocolates, Father never used that. Father always go to the regular meal time, get the regular portion, that's it. That's the Father discipline.
너희들은 어떠래?
What about you?
과일 같은 거 있더라도 안 먹는다.
If Father has some fruit, somebody bring, Father never take it.
그거 왜?
Why?
앞으로 미국 국민이 아침, 점심, 저녁 뭐든 거나 하더라도 그나마지 가지고 세 개를 구하면 얼마나
Father thought, the American people eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals a day is good enough. Good enough for upkeeping your good health, good energy, and good body strength. And all the snack Americans are eating, saved, that is good enough, big enough, large enough to save.
내가 제일 싫은 것도 뭘 당기면서 길게 다니면서 먹는 것 제일 싫어.
Particularly, Father abhor the person who, walking and chewing something and nibbling and eating, just walking down the street and eating the apple and eating the sandwiches. That kind of thing, Father really doesn't like.
건강에도 선생님이 건강을 지금까지 쭉 자기 몸을 중에서 테스트를 많이 해봤지만 밥은 제 시간에 먹이는 거, 순대 제 시간 먹이는.
Father tested out his own health, so many different ways. but always come to the same conclusion that to keep the meal time, that's it.
金は今も運動やってるの？
はい。
今も運動やってる先生が教えたの。運動。
はい、やってます。
今足の調子いいの？
よく治りました。
うん。亀もそうだ。亀も何にも知らないで、足が痛くて立てないと大変だ。そうか。それ先生の運動の仕方を教えてるね。
So, Mr. Kamiyama was there, he has a foot ache, it's a very, very inconvenient. And Father taught him the exercise, special exercise.
너도 가르쳐 줄까?
And then Mr. Kamiyama practiced that exercise, and that foot ache is gone.
어디든지 앉아서도 지금 앉아서 내 앉아 이 운동이야 이거. 앉아 이렇게 앉아.
Do you want to know about that exercise?
Yeah.
Father is, even though Father is talking to you now, Father is still taking exercise. Right now.
이거 이렇게. 운동하는 거야 운동.
Already, Father is in exercise, certain exercise.
운동하는 거야. 어떤 데는 이 운동하는 거야.
So it's exercise all the time. Father is doing certain exercise.
그거 가르쳐 줄까?
Do you want to be taught?
Yes.
선생님이 감옥 생활을 제가 아까 얘기했지만은 이제 이번 살고 나면 5년 가까운 감옥 생활을 했는데 감옥 생활에서 다 죽어가는 자를 살아남은 것은 그 운동법을 연구했기 때문에 살아남은 거예요.
So when Father finished this particular serving, this particular Danbury serving incarceration, it'll be almost altogether 5 years length, grand total of, the accumulative total would be 5 years. And how Father can survive in the prison life for 5 years? Simply because Father created special method of self-exercise.
호흡 운동과
And breathing
그다음에
exercise.
수수작용 운동이야.
And give and take exercise. Everything is principle.
그러니까 이것은 뭐냐면 저희 신경계관이 움직이다든가 이 주고받는 길이 막히는 비결이라는 거예요.
Always there's a give and take action in the body. When those give and take actions stop, then you become ill
그걸
and
터주면 돼.
sick. So there's always circulation. You have to have circulation correct.
그렇기 때문에 감기들을 콧물 것은 순식간에 뚫어나는 거예요.
So when you have a bad cold, you have stuffy nose, then by certain exercise, that nose will be opened up.
변사 가서도 운동하고 언제나 운동하고.
So Father always exercise. You don't know. Even in the bathroom, Father exercise.
이런데 살 때는 반드시 기대해서 이 운동이야. 자기가 이제 테이스 교수로 보면 여기가 감각이 좀 아픈 데가 있거든. 그걸 가지고 그런 데를 해가지고.
So even standing, you see Father idly standing, but actually never Father was idly standing. Father is exercising. Certain exercise. There was a certain.
이런데 구색이 이렇습니다. 전부 다 운동도.
So everything, all the furnitures and house and the buildings and all the chairs and the desks, it gives you a certain way of exercise. In other words, that become. So there was in Danbury there was one rock, when very rock-edged rocks, and Father standing on that rock, and moving his body into the rock is so uneven, it will touch every portion of Father's back body. So Father is probably the oldest among you, but Father, in terms of physical strength, none of you can follow him. And the Father can walk miles after miles, no problem.
자, 그러니까 그런 문제 앞으로 혁명할 것이 많아.
This is kind of a revolution. We have a lot to revolutionize in our way of life.
하루에 소변을 몇 번 먹느냐 하는 거 생각해봤어?
Have you ever thought about how many times you go to the bathroom for urinating? Your urine passage?